He came to the UN today, and it was a total mess. Everything was broken. The escalators weren't even working. Trump and Melania were riding it up, and it just stopped. The First Lady lost her balance a bit, but steadied herself, thankfully, and then marched to the top. She could have been hurt, and the president looked over at the press and knew something was up.
When you have a president like Donald Trump go to the United Nations and literally slap everybody in the face with his words and say, you guys need to get your done.
At first, we thought the escalator just malfunctioned, but then so did the teleprompter.
I don't mind making the speech without a teleprompter because the teleprompter is not working. I feel very happy to be up here with you nevertheless, and that way you speak more from the heart. I can only say that whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble.
Trump says the UN is just lucky that Melania is in great shape.
All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen. But she's in great shape. We're both in good shape. We both stood. And then a teleprompter that didn't work. These are the two things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. Thank you very much. And by the way, it's working now. It just went on. Thank you. I think I should just do it the other way. It's easier.
Coincidence or sabotage? The UN tried to blame Trump. But on Sunday, the Times reported this, quote, to mark Trump's arrival, UN staff members have joked that they may turn off the escalators and elevators and simply tell him they ran out of money, so he has to walk up the stairs. The White House says this isn't a joke and is demanding an investigation. They could have hurt the most beautiful First Lady in American history. Why are we paying for a building that's just trying to injure the First Lady? If anything, it made the UN look bad, not Trump.
No, yep.
The UN covered up for the China virus and then didn't stop the Iranian nuke program. We did. They're not making peace. So what are they doing? Trump's trying to help them, and they're trying to embarrass him.
What is the purpose of the United Nations? The UN has such tremendous potential. I've always said it. It has such tremendous, tremendous potential, but it's not even coming close to living up to that potential. For the most part, at least for now, all they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter and then never follow that letter up. It's empty words, and empty words don't solve war. The only thing that solves war and wars is action.
We haven't heard much about the UN since the Iraq War.
I know Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was talking about that the UN needs to be investigated about this incident that happened with Trump going up the escalator and it stopping all of a sudden and almost making the First Lady fall. That's something just to look into. No, everybody should be questioning, okay, why did it stop? It was working just seconds ago. And then when you're about to have the First Lady and the President of the United States of America about to get on it and then it turns off, that's kind of suspicious. Check it out. Just see what's going on. If it would, something bad could have happened. It could have been something. We already know that the Secret Service came out and discovered some malicious intent with trying to disrupt cell phone towers. So if we know there was an imminent threat of some sort against this UN meeting, we don't know if something was bound to happen there at the actual meeting. Something worth looking into at least. And then them saying, you know, on Fox News, oh, they might be wanting to sabotage the president by also, you know, taking away the teleprompter. Trump does not need a teleprompter. You have to be an idiot to think that he actually needs one. It's better that he has one so all of his thoughts are in actual clear form, but he can go off script. He's done it many times, and this is why he's the president. Because people like authenticity.
For the last 20 years, besides whining about climate change, Trump's Mr. Ceasefire, and the UN never even picked up the phone.
In a period of just 7 months, I have ended 7 unendable wars. It's too bad that I had to do these things instead of the United Nations doing them. And sadly, in all cases, the United Nations did not even try to help in any of them. I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help in finalizing the deal.
Harry Truman created the United Nations after World War II to help maintain peace and stop war. They're not doing that. All they're doing is funding invasions.
Not only is the UN not solving the problems it should, too often, it's actually creating new problems for us to solve. The best example is the #1 political issue of our time, the crisis of uncontrolled migration. The UN is supposed to stop invasions, not create them, and not finance them. We have reasserted that America belongs to the American people, and I encourage all countries to take their own stand in defense of their citizens as well. You have to do that because I see it. I'm not mentioning names. I see it, and I can call every single one of them out. You're destroying your countries.
The UN unleashes refugees, then blames it on global warming so it can ask America for more money. That's the scam. And Biden was in on it. He kept our border open and then gave the UN $1 billion to stop global warming. The Europeans are in the same boat as the big guy.
Europe is in serious trouble. They've been invaded by a force of illegal aliens like nobody's ever seen before. Illegal aliens are pouring into Europe. Nobody is ever, and nobody's doing anything to change it, to get them out. It's not sustainable. And because they choose to be politically correct, they're doing just absolutely nothing about it.
My producer went to Portugal. I know, we pay him very well. And said it was 2 hours at customs because there were plane loads of Muslim refugees with their whole families. They don't speak English or Portuguese or Spanish or even French. And the Portuguese officials were trying to fingerprint them, and all hell broke loose. And at the end, they were like, all right, just go right in. My producer's mom talked to the customs official, who was livid, and said, yeah, there are plane loads of these people who are coming in all day, every day, and we just have to let them in. You see them on boats racing onto the shore in France. If we don't protect the birthplace of Western civilization, we're finished. How long could we go before Europe ceases to exist? Cities across the world are turning into little Jalalabads.
I look at London, where you have a terrible mayor, terrible, terrible mayor. And it's been so changed, so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law. But you're in a different country. You can't do that.
The UN's been telling us it doesn't matter because, we're all going to die.
The executive director of the United Nations Environmental Program predicted that by the year 2000, climate change would cause a global catastrophe. He said that it will be irreversible, as any nuclear holocaust would be. This is what they said at the United Nations. What happened? Here we are. All of these predictions made by the United Nations and many others, often for bad reasons, were wrong. They were made by stupid people that have cost their countries fortunes.
The world hasn't ended, but they did end fossil fuels. Everybody went green and then went, oops, this doesn't work. Germany went full Al Gore with windmills and solar panels. They paid China billions for it. It was such a disaster, they went back to buying Russian oil. China laughed their way to the bank. They had the green market cornered and robbed the West blind. And to make it worse, unvetted foreigners are sucking up the rest of the resources. Trump said, I told you so.
It's time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. See, I can tell you. I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell. If you don't get away from this green scam, your country is going to fail. And I'm really good at predicting things, you know. They actually said during the campaign they had a hat, the best-selling hat. Trump was right about everything. And I don't say that in a braggadocious way, but it's true. I've been right about everything.
We're handing the world the MAGA model Stop the green stuff, close the borders, and make money, not war. It worked here, and it'll work there. You have a choice. Kill your culture and your currency, or use a little common sense. Then everybody can get a job, get married, have babies, go to church, and go on vacation, and give a little back. And if everybody can get their own houses in order, we don't have to police the world and be the bad guy. That's what they say they want, right? Biden used to come in and to the UN and say it was all about autocracy versus democracy. And the intelligentsia would nod their heads and stroke their chins. Well, all that means nothing if you can't keep your lights on and control your borders. Half the time, Biden didn't even know where he was.
Thank you. Welcome to Washington. Fellow leaders, friends, for 944 days, Putin has waged his vicious onslaught against Ukraine.
Come to Washington.
The United Nations is a global intergovernmental organization established by the signing of the UN Charter on June 26, 1945, with the articulated mission of maintaining international peace and security, to develop friendly relations among states, to promote international cooperation, and to serve as a center for harmonizing the actions of states in achieving those goals. Trump went there and really laid it out to them, saying, you guys are fucking up. Instead of promoting peace, you guys are doing the complete opposite and causing chaos in the world. And I have to take responsibility within my own country into securing the borders, making sure the crime rate is going down. If I need to send the National Guard across my country to reestablish order in certain cities and states, it must be done. And then after order has been restored, then local law enforcement can pick back up to where they left off into actually maintaining peace. There will always be crime in this country, but having good leadership, and especially leadership from the UN, that's supposed to be basically policing the entire world, into analyzing different countries and saying, okay, well, we have an issue here in this part of the world that's having an issue with this part of the world. What are we going to do to make things come in order and bring peace to the world? I don't know what they've been doing when there's massive chaos. We have probably too much corruption, too much at this point, where many years later, we have people sitting in those chairs that don't give a what's going on in the world. And when you had someone at the United Nations say that, you know, the world's going to come into an end in the year 2000, and made everybody basically think, well, why are we here? Why does it matter? No, well, we're still here. It's 2025, and things are still happening. Countries are still being ran. Leaders are still leading, some poorly than others. And when you have a president like Donald Trump go to the United Nations and literally slap everybody in the face with his words and say, you guys need to get your done. Like, why do you guys even exist here? Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. Till next time. Peace out, everybody. This one's for Charlie.